THF, February the 5th, a Wednesday. How's everybody doing? Scotty, a happy birthday to him on the 4th. Big 2-6 for him, so he gets the night off. So it's just Zach and I. Zach, how are you? Long day for you.
Oh, yeah. Normally I don't work during the week, but the other guy got sick. Thankfully now I don't have to work on Friday. So I'm going to know this is the first Friday I'm going to have off work since I started there in the beginning of August. So this is going to be unfamiliar territory for me.
What's the plan for you on Friday then?
Well, Thursday nights,
Infinity beers?
not on Friday, because Friday I have to go to bed to go to work on Saturday. But Thursday night, I don't know. You and I might have something planned. Maybe still, maybe not.
Might mess around. Yeah, but we'll get into the Super Bowl again. Scotty, happy birthday, 2-6. Lucky
Happy
day
birthday,
off
bud.
for him. First the Super Bowl. First a hat tip to my girlfriend Nikki for making us Hopeless Fan Podcast hoodies. So we have our first.
Those are
so
soft.
We have our first official gear for the pod. So hopefully more of that in the future. More on the Super Bowl. Zach, what was your biggest takeaway?
Jimmy Garoppolo is not as clutch as they say.
Yeah, that was tough because, well, for one, I don't think he's ever been as clutch as people say, but
Right.
I think my biggest takeaway was that if you're Kyle Shanahan, I don't know how you slept the last couple of nights because that's 2 Super Bowls now where he's calling the shots and his team had a 95+% chance of winning in the fourth quarter, up double digits, and he's yet to collect a ring. So, what did you think of his overall game plan and
I think it's more
where he stands now?
Right. I think it's more on him than it is on Jimmy Garoppolo, to be honest with you. It's just it really all comes down to how do you not run the ball
Right.
on that drive there towards the end. I don't know how much time was, like 7 minutes left or something like that.
Yeah, well, they had 2 drives.
Right.
It was 20-10. They had a drive, go 3 and out. They threw twice. Next drive, 20-17. They go 3 and out. Garoppolo incomplete, high and away to punt that ball away. So, look after the game, and the 49ers averaged 6.4 yards a carry. It's like that has to make Shanahan sick that he had a 10-point lead with 8 minutes left, and he averaged 6.4 yards a carry and couldn't finish the job. So it's just 2 gut-wrenching losses for a guy who now is going to be up there with the Sean McVays of the world where they're geniuses 1 second and the next they're choke artists in the biggest game.
Absolutely.
More on this one, Jimmy G not clutch. What did you think of the decision by the 49ers that goes back ties into that coaching decision to kind of sit on the ball at the end of the first half?
Yeah, that's a big question mark. And then also that PI, non-PI, PI call it, but it's I don't think, not that nobody's talking about it, let's talk about it, but not enough people are talking about it, let's talk about it. Because if what Rudolph did to the Saints wasn't PI, then what Kittle did wasn't PI either.
I don't think either of them should have been PI.
Right.
Yeah, for me, offensive PI needs to be a blatant, two-handed push. It's like this was a love tap that happens almost every pass down the sideline. And it's one thing, it's like Shanahan didn't deserve to even get those 3 points at the end of the first half because he sat on the ball for the first 2 plays, running it and not taking any timeouts until the Chiefs did. And then him and Andy Reid had a timeout off where they went back and forth. Garoppolo hit Jeff Wilson for a short pass, and then he went deep to Kittle. But he didn't deserve to get those 3 points, but in the end, Kittle, he couldn't believe it. And, even you see the Chiefs defender's reaction, he wasn't lobbying for a pass interference either. So that was a huge play, but to me it goes back to Shanahan. You had a minute and a half, 3 timeouts available when the Chiefs punted, but you let the clock keep going. And even John Lynch was up in the booth signaling, hey, call a timeout here, and he didn't. So, just missed opportunities where Shanahan, you're going to have to give points to beat Mahomes, and he just let a golden opportunity to double dip with the third quarter kickoff slip away.
Yeah, and it was really it is really depressing, kind of to watch a team. I mean, not so much depressing because they've got what, 5 championships as a franchise. So,
Right.
but like a team that could have so easily won, you feel bad. Like I know a couple 49ers fans, more than I know Chiefs fans, and they're really upset. And I've been there, but I haven't, because I don't know what it's like to lose a Super Bowl, but I do know what it's like to win or to lose a game that you had handily won. Especially on a grand stage. So I really do feel for a lot of their fans, especially the ones that don't remember, the Montana days or the young days.
Yeah. Now switch it over to the winning side, since obviously you talk about the losing team first. Is Did they get the MVP wrong? Does it belong to Mahomes, or should it have been Damian Williams?
Yeah, I think it should have been Damian Williams. And I think if the Niners had won, we'd be having the same conversation. Should it be Samuel or should it be Garoppolo? Because
Right.
Debo had a great game. But yeah, I think you got it wrong. I think Damian Williams had a greater impact than Patrick Mahomes did. Obviously, you don't have the win without that huge bomb from Mahomes, but Williams really came up clutch, I think, and I think he got shortchanged.
Yeah, I would say give it to Mahomes, even though Garoppolo, Pro Football Focus, had him graded better than Mahomes, actually. Um, but Mahomes, I mean, you talk about the stuff that doesn't show up in box scores is how shifty he is and how he was able to elude pressure, whether it be run for a gain or throw the ball away, that other quarterbacks take a sack. That was big. His throw to Tyreek Hill, everyone's like he's underthrew him, but Mahomes just threw that into a space because Buckner was hitting him as he was throwing. So I mean, if it goes to Williams, it goes to Williams, whatever. But Mahomes, I think the story was too good for those writers sitting up in the press box to think this young guy, MVP in year one, down double digits in every playoff game. I think you shouldn't really, for Super Bowl MVP, you obviously shouldn't vote on what happened in prior games, but there was a little bit of home cooking there from the voters, and I think a little bit rightfully so.
Yeah. I think that, the thing that stinks for me, like I know stinks not for me, but for Damian Williams, that makes me feel bad for him, is that this is, I mean, probably the last Super Bowl he'll play in unless the Chiefs retain him. I mean, when you're a running back in the league, you've got, like, Mahomes' odds are probably going to have another shot, at least one or two more shots at winning an MVP by being in a Super Bowl again, because he's going to be in Kansas City for a long time. But Damian Williams, like, that was his shot. So it's like, I know, that's not how the MVP works, but you kind of want to see him get that, because when you look at Mahomes, it's like, oh, it's his third year in the league. He's got, plenty of time to get an MVP, whereas, as a running back, you're already working on a shorter career span, so like you kind of want to see him get it, because you don't see running backs get MVPs very often.
The Chiefs could go next year and Williams could have 10 carries for 26 yards and that's it. So yeah, it's like you said, Mahomes will always have that chance. But how about your boy Terrell Suggs getting another Super Bowl win?
Yeah, that was fantastic, and it was funny. He was very upfront about it. It's like saying, like, he kind of fell into that, and he was like very open about it and very like upfront. He's not like one of those guys who was like, oh yeah, I was a big part of this. Like, he understood that he kind of fell into it, but he just soaked up every moment. I was really, really happy to see him get that, just so he had a great career with us. I mean, I harbor no ill will for him. Obviously deciding to leave, you got to chase payments while you can.
Yeah.
So I love to see it. All the power to him, and hopefully he can retire as a Raven at some point, whether it's symbolic or maybe his last gasp of air, he can end up on our practice squad or something.
Lastly, on the Super Bowl, the halftime show, it wasn't my thing because I just didn't like the music, but obviously it was very popular once I got on Twitter.
It was your thing, Shelby. You know that.
Well, I mean, it was fine, but just the music wasn't my style. But, I mean, once you got on Twitter, it was like everyone was in love with it. What was your reaction? And of course, like, you couldn't get Shakira and J-Lo dancing without there being some type of controversy that arises on social media afterwards. So the debate is, the double standards between Adam Levine having his shirt off last year and
Right.
those two up there dancing provocatively. And
Well,
it's just, of course,
it's
there's
so
a double standard.
It's so funny because while we were there, I don't know if you remember, I said, my mom is so pissed right now.
Yeah.
And I know, because that's just the kind of good Midwestern Christian lady that she is. She called me today, and the first thing she said was, "Did you watch that halftime show?" I can't, like, she just went off on how inappropriate it was. And I was like, yep, I knew this was coming. Like,
yeah, but you probably didn't say that last year.
No, yeah, exactly. That's what I said to her, too. I actually said, like, you didn't have anything to say about shirtless Adam Levine last year, but now you want to, put down these two ladies expressing themselves. Okay, I get it.
And, of course, Twitter couldn't let it go of the surge in Pornhub activity from the Super Bowl. So the increases during Super Bowl average. Shakira, the word Shakira was up 1,401%. J-Lo, 381%. Demi Lovato up 270%. And this country continues to surprise me every day. And not in a good way.
Yeah, these are the kind of hard-hitting stats that everybody needs to see.
Well, it's like, oh man, I was really left out. If 1,401% of people were, upping Shakira's search results, I was out. Talk about being out of the loop. I had FOMO at halftime, and I didn't even know. Okay, but what's this season, this NFL season in general, Zach? So I was kind of thinking of it. You'd like to think an NFL season is known for which team wins the Super Bowl, but I just don't think it was the case. So can you kind of name some of the storylines from this NFL season? Obviously, we'll throw in Chiefs winning Super Bowl.
Yeah.
For the first time in 50 years.
Obviously, you got to start at the beginning, and that's going to be Antonio Brown. And he was kind of a theme the whole season for a lot of different reasons, but you start with the drama in Oakland, and then you move to the drama in New England, and then you move to his legal troubles in Florida. So it's like, I think that's like the biggest constant from this season. The thing that's going to be remembered most is going to be all of that crap that went down. And so, like, nobody would have guessed that this is the way it was going to go.
Right, and I had some other ones. I was going back even further. I would say Andrew Luck retiring. And then I would also say just the falling of the quarterback mainstays. Brady was not himself. Ben Roethlisberger was hurt. Eli retires. Rivers now shifted out of San Diego, it looks like. So
Flacco's garbage in Denver.
Well, he's not one of those blue bloods, but yeah.
He's got a ring.
I get that, but he's not a blue blood. Who's been around the league since 2003 or something. They've all been 2003 or later.
That's true.
So these guys have been mainstays in the NFL basically as long as we've been a fan almost. And now it's like it had to happen at some time, but it's like a new wave coming over. They're still going to be relevant. They're still going to be playing. They're still going to be on a team. But it's like for the first time, it's like they weren't just like business as usual, 30 touchdowns, they'll be in the same spot next year. There's actually going to be shifting around.
Yeah. You have Drew Brees, all the talk around, he hurt his hand, and you had Teddy Bridge system, and then, he comes back, and then the whole drama with Russell Wilson, letting him start in the Pro Bowl. What does that mean for his future? You have the drama of, Teddy, like I said, Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill, chomping at his heels. And then I think the other thing that was really interesting is, nobody really talks about how next year we're getting a team in Las Vegas. Like nobody talked about that, like hardly at all. That like this new stadium looks dope. And the Raiders, they almost made the playoffs.
Yeah, it was
a
close.
Little bit.
Last week of the season, they were in the hunt.
Yeah, and after Antonio Brown, like nobody cared about the Raiders, and I think that they're going to be. I feel like they're going to be a big part of the NFL next season. Whether it's everyone's going to be talking about them for being really good, or everyone's going to talk about them for being laughably bad.
So that's that's your next season thing, because you got the Raiders kind of with Antonio Brown. But
yeah.
I would say too. I think you have to put in Lamar Jackson being your MVP.
Yeah,
That
I mean,
he
I didn't
revolutionized the game.
Yeah.
Basically, with these running quarterbacks. So he's part of it. So I think we got a pretty good list, and we might tweet this out. What was the 2019-2020 NFL season most known for? Andrew Luck's retirement, Antonio Brown's clownage, Chiefs win first Super Bowl in 50 years, 2003 quarterbacks kind of dead.
Yeah, or Lamar Jackson being the second unanimous MVP ever.
Right. I was going to say besides that, but just like revolutionizing offenses and just how good he was compared to last year.
Yeah, in like a season and a half, too.
Right, yeah. Just what his transition was from a guy who couldn't throw in a playoff game to a guy who's an MVP. And then, I think we got a pretty good 5 there, and then like a sneak peek to next year.
Still can't really throw in a playoff game, I guess.
Or in a Pro Bowl. But in a Pro Bowl skills competition. I saw like the Twitter replies to that were fantastic. It was like, well, when his receivers don't have arms and they just have little like bullseye targets on their helmet, let me know. It's like all these balls are catchable, and it's like, just let us have this one. All right, Zach, you're a big NBA guy, so you love your NBA beef. What do you take away from Iguodala versus Grizzlies versus Curry?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, this whole season, last offseason and this season, I really wanted to see Iguodala with the Lakers. I wanted to see him team up with LeBron and AD, because I think he would fit in very well and bring that sort of championship caliber leadership to a locker room already, where LeBron is basically the only one on that team that's other than Rondo, I guess, but like that someone who's still got some real talent and really has something to offer. But I think it's hilarious, and I'm 100% on. I mean, I love Ja Morant, but I'm 100% on the side of Iguodala. Like the Grizzlies have he made known, that he wasn't like they've had a whole season to find something to do with him. Like they could have gotten something from the Lakers long ago, or from any team really for that matter, long ago, and they just didn't do anything with him, and they just sat on him, and they basically like ruined this whole season for him, for somebody who's already on his way out in terms of, he's so old. Like you think about, like, do you remember how young you were when he was tearing it up with the Sixers?
Oh yeah.
And this guy's still in the league, and he still has something to offer, and they're just wasting his last few precious, moments in the league.
I don't even think they're precious anymore. I think that guy's not even on the back nine. He's like finishing up on the 18th hole right now. I don't see.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say he's on the back nine.
No, he won, but you said like the last few seasons of flourishment or whatever. Like, I don't think he even has.
Well,
that.
where he can still contribute meaningfully with like 15 to 20 minutes of coming off the bench and having something to offer. Yeah. Like he could still play.
Yeah, but I mean, he was hurt in the last year's NBA Finals, and it was like the one NBA Finals MVP he did win was because the Cavs just basically didn't guard him. And they're like, let's let him beat us, and if he does, then,
they had to give it to somebody who was on the MVP was LeBron, but you can't give team. The MVP. Yeah, right, exactly. So, but I mean, in all reality, I definitely side with Iguodala and all of that. But I love Ja Morant, and I think the beef is hilarious,
right.
And I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm on the side of both teams just because the beef is good. Obviously, Iguodala, he mentioned he wasn't ever going to want to play for in Memphis, Tennessee, of all places. But I also you can't hate the guys from the Grizzlies being like, I'll never side against a small market team trying to get some respect, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. They have like the cockiness of a team that's going to make a run for a team that's actually out of the playoff picture as of right now.
Right.
But
and it was the same, and I had the same mindset when AD was trying to force his way out of New Orleans. Like, I was very glad that the Pelicans and Gentry and oh my gosh, I'm spacing on their GM's name. What's his name?
No idea.
Pelicans. Oh, okay. When they were giving the Lakers the runaround and basically were like, we're gonna fleece you if you want to try and steal Anthony Davis away from us. Like when they got to the trade deadline and Magic was like, here's everything, and they're like, yeah, give us a little bit more, bitch. Like, I love that, and I love when small market teams like stand up to the big guy. So I can't be that upset at the Grizzlies for standing their ground against Iguodala because he's turning his nose up at them. Especially a team that's got such a promising future with, Ja Morant. I think he's going to be, I believe he could be the next Derrick Rose. Honestly, he's that fantastic in his first year. I believe he's a way better pick than Zion. Obviously, we only time will tell on that. Zion's had a good first few games. We'll see if his durability will last. But I feel like Ja has been there since day one, and he's played all these games and hasn't showed any sign of wear and is only getting better. So I love where the Grizzlies are at. I'd like to see Iguodala on another team, and I can't wait to see him play the Grizzlies on whatever team he ends up on.
Fascinating stuff, and we'll see how that beef unfolds with the Grizzlies and Andre Iguodala. When's the trade deadline?
It's next week.
The next week? Okay.
I believe.
I know it was coming up, but we'll see if he...
it's right before the All-Star break.
See if old man Iggy gets moved. A couple of people on the move in baseball tonight. You have a lot of stuff going on outside of sports, but then Ken Rosenthal in his bow tie can't take a night off. He goes on the offensive with some breaking news. A big 3-team blockbuster. Mookie Betts and David Price, the two biggest pieces, head to Los Angeles. From the Red Sox to the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's a lot of money. Betts is owed $27 million next season. Price is owed $96 million. That's so high. Over the next 3 seasons. So $32 million a year for David Price. $27 next year for Mookie Betts. There's another team in there. For a second, I thought it would be the Reds to get Corey Seager, the shortstop, but not all my dreams come true. So it's actually the Angels and the Twins are in there. The Dodgers are sending Kenta Maeda to the Twins. Brusard Gratterall, part of the package, going to the Red Sox. Red Sox, a clear loser. They got a lot of money off their payroll, but it looks like their 2020 season is not going to be one for the books, while the Dodgers continue to load up to try to break through the hump. Zach, what's your take on this big baseball matter? Because I know you're such a big fan.
What? I would say that I'm sure that you, like when we were talking about NBA, you were feeling as I'm feeling right now. But I think you care more about the NBA than I do about baseball, which is kind of sad because I wish I could be into baseball, but it just doesn't really grab my attention. Are the Lakers? Are the Yankees going to be good next year? Or are they going to be bad?
The Yankees are going to be good. They signed a pitcher from the Astros, Garrett Cole, to like the biggest contract ever. It's like almost $300 million.
That sucks. The Dodgers are going to be good. I keep calling the Lakers. The Yankees are going to be good. The only thing I care about in baseball is that those teams don't win. Yeah. So
the Yankees, I would hate to see the Yankees and Dodgers very well could be the World Series matchup. I would say it's one of the favorites to be the World Series matchup.
Yeah, I would love to see the Reds do well, just because I'd love to see the excitement all around.
You've got a big storm coming.
Yeah, it's been exciting just to see, the moves that they've made this offseason. Just bringing some. I just like it's going to be just good for the economy, like down in Cincinnati. Like I just happy to see. Like I'd love to see Ohio on the up and up, no matter like even if it's the worst city in the state. Like I'd like to see everything Ohio on the up and up.
Okay, well. You'll have plenty of good to see from Reds baseball this season, apparently, if all the moves pan out. So I didn't give this as a segment, but I will just say it. Doghouse of the Week is me, because as I was looking through Twitter, I thought there was actually some type of legislation coming that would make the Monday after the Super Bowl a national holiday, but instead it was just people on Twitter just like giving their best memes of like the frowning chihuahuas, like when I realize I have to go to work on Monday after the Super Bowl. Or it's like that Shakira all-time now video of her like doing the yeah. So it's like so for a second I was like, oh, maybe next year Monday morning is national holiday, and then it's just a bunch of people like having a meme war of like who can get the most retweets on like their funny gif of their reaction to the boss flirting with them at 8:30 in the morning on a Monday.
And I could throw a little bit of a doghouse in there just off the top of my head. Mine's going to be the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
In case you haven't been keeping up with it,
Yep.
the Iowa caucus.
Yep.
How do you screw? The only reason I can assume, not to get all conspiracy theorist on you, but the only reason I could think why they would screw this up so bad is because they so badly want to deny Bernie for whatever reason.
Well, then they rigged the election for him in 2016.
Yeah, well,
the Democratic National
they screwed
Party.
him over. Yeah, they screwed him over 4 years ago.
No one talks about it. It just happened, and no one talks about it.
Yeah. They tried to they were like, screw you, we're giving it to Hillary, we don't want anything to do with you, and now it feels like it's like we definitely don't want you, we either want Biden or Warren or whatever. I mean, this is not a politics podcast.
You're right, Zach. Can you layman's term what happened at the Iowa caucus for us? In 20 seconds or less.
Yeah, we were supposed to get results on Monday,
right?
And we just didn't.
Right.
And they're like, we couldn't count it all up, or we're having issues with voter fraud, or like just a bunch of different like excuses. And then like, okay, we'll have it today at 5:00, and then at 5:00 they weren't there. They weren't out till like 6:30.
Okay.
So it's like, it's like they've never had an issue like in all the years they've done the Iowa caucuses. They've never had an issue like this before, and we have all this technology to make things easier. And for some reason, Bernie was doing well, they just couldn't get it done in a reasonable time.
Shout out Zach for going 20 seconds or less there. But a big time who's back is like the old people that hate technology. Big win for them to start the week. To start the non-football season, probably the best way you can was old people in like Iowa right now. Because they're like, why we used to all just write it down and it was on our system.
You mean half the population of Iowa?
Correct.
Old people?
Old people with flip phones. Like,
it's the Florida of the Midwest.
Anything goes in Iowa. All right. Last but not least.
Except Bernie.
State of the Union address was tonight. We're not a politics pod. But, Zach, if you had to give a State of the Union address for your own life to people that care about you and that want to see you do well, how would you address them in a 1-minute speech? Just giving them a state of how you're doing. What lies would you tell?
I'm getting plenty of sleep. I love my job. I'm going back to school. Mamba out.
Yeah. Mine would be, I didn't start a sports podcast in late 2019 when everyone else had one. I don't gamble that much money on games, just a few $5 bets here or there. I'm not scared about the Bengals not drafting Joe Burrow. And what's a good one? What's something everyone wants you to do in life and you never do? It's like I don't know.
I'm gonna get a job that's not the one I got out of college.
Right.
I don't know.
It's like, I'm gonna be calling all of you on your birthday, like even you, Aunt, whatever, in Sheboygan.
I'll definitely be there for Thanksgiving.
All right, that's our show. We'll see you Thursday when Scotty returns and we have a big-time Office showdown. We'll also have NFL Family Feud.
I can't
We'll preview the first weekend of the XFL.
This is the XFL.
So an action-packed show on Thursday. Hopefully Zach comes down for it, so that'll be determined. But we'll see you guys then. Thanks.
I would love to.